The power of small habits, a journey to transform your life. Before we dive into this life-changing journey, I want you to reflect on this thought. Success doesn't come from one huge leap. It comes from small, consistent steps that build over time. Think about your morning routine. Perhaps you start with a cup of coffee or scroll through your phone. Each of those little habits contributes to the energy and mindset that shape your day. But here's the secret. What if you could take control of your daily habits and transform your life, one small step at a time? Today, we'll explore how small habits, done consistently, can lead to extraordinary results. It's not about taking massive, overwhelming actions. It's about simplicity and consistency. And the best part? You already have everything you need to begin right now. So, let's start this journey together. Think of one habit you want to improve or start. Keep that in mind as we walk through the next minutes. Ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Change. Let's start by understanding why small habits work so well. Our brain craves simplicity and consistency. That's why small habits are so powerful. They don't demand too much energy or willpower, and over time they become automatic, requiring less effort as they become ingrained in our daily routines. Think about brushing your teeth. It's a small habit, yet you do it every day without thinking. The reason it's so ingrained is because it has a consistent cue, your morning routine, the feeling of waking up, and it has a powerful reward, clean teeth and a fresh start. The same principle applies to any habit you want to build. The key is to start small and make sure the habit is simple enough to repeat consistently. Your brain will begin to associate the habit with a sense of accomplishment, reinforcing the desire to keep going. Take a moment to think about the small habits you already have. Do you check your phone first thing in the morning? Do you drink water as soon as you wake up? These small actions shape your day and, ultimately, your life. Now think about one small habit you want to build. Maybe it's making your bed in the morning or taking 10 minutes to plan your day. Write it down. The truth about change. Change doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to happen in one huge leap. In fact, the best way to create lasting change is to start small and build from there. Remember, your journey toward personal transformation starts with that one small habit. Chapter 2. The Science Behind Small Habits. Now that we know why small habits are powerful, let's dive deeper into the science behind them. Habits follow a cycle: cue, routine, and reward. Cue. This is the trigger that initiates the behavior. It can be something external, like an alarm going off, or something internal, like a feeling of stress. Routine. This is the behavior itself. It's the action you take after the cue, whether it's scrolling through your phone, grabbing a coffee, or exercising. Reward. This is the positive reinforcement that makes you want to do the habit again. Maybe it's the rush of energy from your morning coffee, or the sense of accomplishment after you exercise. Once the cycle is completed, your brain begins to associate the cue with the routine, and the reward reinforces the behavior, making it easier to repeat. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. But here's the exciting part. You can design your own habit loops. Want to drink more water? Use the cue of finishing a meal to remind yourself to drink a glass of water. The routine is simple, and the reward is feeling hydrated and energized. Let's talk about how you can apply this to your own life. One powerful strategy is habit stacking. This is when you link a new habit to an existing one. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, stack a new habit like doing 5 minutes of stretching right after. Think about one habit you'd like to form. What's the cue that could trigger it? How can you make it easy to start? And what's the reward that will motivate you to continue? Creating new habits doesn't require willpower. It's about designing the right cues, routines, and rewards. Chapter 3. The Compound Effect. Now let's talk about the compound effect. It's a principle that explains how small, consistent actions over time lead to extraordinary results. The compound effect is powerful because it's exponential. Let's take a look at an example. Imagine you decide to save $1 a day. At first, it doesn't seem like much. But over the course of a year, that $1 turns into $365. That's a small habit, but it compounds into a meaningful result. Now, imagine if you applied this concept to habits that improve your health, career, or personal development. Small daily actions, when practiced consistently, add up to monumental change. A 1% improvement every day leads to 37 times improvement over a year. Take athletes, for instance. The world's top performers aren't doing anything drastically different from the rest of us. They're simply practicing their craft every day. They're putting in the work, no matter how small the step may seem. Think about the habits you've been working on in your life. Are you focusing on small improvements that, over time, can compound into big results? What is one small habit you could start today that will have an exponential impact a year from now? Remember, the key is consistency. The magic is in the compounding effect of small, repeated actions. Chapter 4. Real-life success stories. Real success comes from real people who have used small habits to achieve extraordinary things. Let me share a couple of stories. Take Sarah, a young woman working a corporate job. She felt stuck, overwhelmed by her workload. Instead of trying to overhaul everything, Sarah decided to wake up 10 minutes earlier every morning to plan her day. She used those 10 minutes to prioritize her tasks, set intentions, and mentally prepare for her day. Over time, that simple habit of planning became a cornerstone of her success. Within 6 months, she was more productive, more confident, and had earned a promotion. Another story is David, an entrepreneur who wanted to expand his network. He struggled with the idea of attending events and putting himself out there. Instead, he committed to sending just one email a day to a potential connection. Whether it was a client, mentor, or fellow entrepreneur, David took 5 minutes every morning to send that email. After a year, he had formed meaningful relationships with key people in his industry, which led to collaborations and opportunities he never imagined. Think about someone you admire. What small habits do you think they practice that have contributed to their success? What's one habit you could start that would push you toward your own goals? Chapter 5. Building your habit system. Now that you understand the power of small habits, how do you create your own habit system that works for you? Start small. The best way to build habits is to start with something so small that it feels almost impossible to fail. Want to exercise? Start with just 5 minutes a day. Want to read more? Start with 1 page per day. The goal isn't to do everything perfectly. It's about creating momentum. Habit stacking. Stack your new habit on top of an existing habit. If you already drink coffee every morning, stack your new habit of stretching or journaling right after. The old habit triggers the new one, making it easier to remember. Track your progress. One of the most powerful ways to ensure success is to track your progress. Whether it's a habit tracker, an app, or a simple journal, tracking keeps you accountable and reinforces your commitment. Plus, it feels rewarding to check off each day that you've completed your habit. Accountability. Share your goals with a friend, mentor, or coach. Having someone to hold you accountable can make a big difference in sticking with your habits. Even if they're just checking in with you once a week, that accountability can keep you motivated. Celebrate milestones. Don't wait for the big results to celebrate. Take time to acknowledge small wins. Whether it's a week of consistency or hitting a small milestone, celebrating keeps the motivation high. Think about one habit you want to develop. Break it down into manageable steps. How can you start small, and what's the first step you can take today? Chapter 6. Overcoming resistance. Building new habits is challenging. Resistance is part of the process, and it's completely normal to feel like giving up at times. We often sabotage ourselves because change requires energy, effort, and focus. Our brains are wired to resist discomfort, and anything new feels uncertain. But here's the trick. The more resistance you face, the more you need to push through. And the key to pushing through is making the habit so small that you can't fail. For example, if you want to exercise but find it difficult to commit, start with just 5 minutes of stretching every morning. That's so easy that you have no excuse to skip it. Once you complete the 5 minutes, you'll feel accomplished, and before you know it, you might decide to continue for 10 or 20 minutes. The hardest part is starting. Another powerful strategy is to shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on the difficulty of the new habit, focus on the identity you want to build. Instead of saying, "I want to exercise more," Start telling yourself, I am the type of person who makes time for my health. Your identity drives your actions, and when you align your habits with your desired identity, resistance becomes easier to overcome. Think about a habit you've struggled to stick with. What resistance have you faced? How can you make that habit so small that it feels impossible to fail? Can you focus on your identity as someone who sticks with their commitments? Chapter 7. The Ripple Effect. The impact of small habits doesn't stop with you. It ripples out to everyone around you. When you change, others notice. Your growth becomes an inspiration for those close to you, and this is especially true in leadership and relationships. For instance, when a leader makes time for personal development, that act of growth motivates their team to do the same. It sets the tone for a culture of continuous improvement. A parent who chooses to lead a healthier lifestyle will inspire their children to adopt those same habits. It's contagious. One small habit can change the trajectory of your career, relationships, and even your community. It starts with you, but it doesn't end there. As you grow, you become a beacon for others to follow, creating a ripple effect of positive change. In fact, every small habit you cultivate is like a pebble dropped into a pond. The waves reach farther than you can ever imagine, touching the lives of people you may never meet, but whose lives are impacted by your example. Think about the people in your life. How can your new habits inspire them? What's one small change you can make that could positively affect others around you? Chapter 8. Sustaining Momentum. Sustaining momentum is where the real magic happens. After you've built a habit, how do you keep it going? The answer lies in consistency and flexibility. First, remember that consistency is key. Even if you miss a day or two, don't let that stop you. The key is not to aim for perfection, but to focus on long-term consistency. It's the small actions, day after day, that lead to progress. But also, give yourself the flexibility to adjust. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes, your routines will need to adapt. That's okay. What's important is that you get back on track as soon as you can. Another powerful strategy is to make your habits enjoyable. When you enjoy the process, you're more likely to stick with it. So, find ways to make your habits fun, rewarding, and aligned with your values. Think about a habit you've maintained successfully for a while. What's keeping you motivated? How can you adjust that habit to make it more enjoyable and sustainable? What is one thing you can do today to reignite your momentum? Conclusion. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that your transformation begins with small steps. Every small habit you start today will compound into something extraordinary tomorrow. It's not about the big, flashy changes. It's about showing up each day with consistency, focus, and the belief that your future self is worth investing in. The truth is, you're already on your way. By committing to small habits, you're setting yourself up for a future filled with growth, success, and fulfillment. The power is in your hands. Take that first small step, and let it lead you to the life you've always dreamed of. So, what will your first small habit be? What is one change you're committed to making today? Remember, it doesn't matter how small it is. The key is to start, and start now. You have everything you need to succeed. Now take that first step and make your future happen.